This band. I like this band. I wrote it down so I don't forget who they are. Oh, I remember. Fucking Slay!
We're back with another episode of Metal Horror Madness with death metal royalty. One of the hardest in the scene. He's been doing it for decades, and he hasn't missed a beat. He's monstrosity. He doesn't stop. He overcomes every obstacle to bring you every ounce of death metal music your beautiful little ears deserve. Big Magic Savage on his drums. We got Lee Harrison from Monstrosity, and it is an honor, sir. It's an honor and a pleasure that you have been giving us this music for decades and nonstop, and hearing some of the new stuff. I am excited. Thanks for joining today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, you got it. I've been back. I've been listening to you since back Imperial Doom days. I'm going way back. I'm tweaking a little bit. I'm a super fan of people I respect and music I love. I got to ask you, how do you keep this intensity after all this time?
I'm a lifer, man. This is what I do. It's in my blood.
It really is, man. It's just crazy. And I was playing the Colossal Rage a little bit earlier today, and talk about something to get you amped up. The speed of that song, the intensity, the fierceness of it. Where do you come up with something like that?
I just right here where I'm sitting, to be honest, this is it. This is where I make it happen. This is the engine room.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I just hit the record button and start letting it rip, and there you go. And not too long after that, next thing you know, we have the beginnings of a song, and usually I'll send that to my guitar player, Matt Barnes, and he'll take that and shape it up even more and make it even more brutal. So that's kind of the formula that these days, this is kind of how we're doing it.
Yeah, and that's what I love when I'm hearing new music. It's like you're not, as you know, sometimes some bands just they're trying to, they stay in the past. They're stuck with a certain sound or a certain production they're looking for. This sounds fresh. This is new. This can keep up with anybody out there doing it right now. And you're on Metal Blade Records now?
Yep.
It's great label. I had I talked to Brian. He had me on his podcast. I geeked out like a little boy. I remember, that guy. I'm the biggest Slayer fan of all time. So, like, the fact that there's the guy that brought them into the scene and everything. And I wanted to ask you, what are your influences? What are your biggest influences?
Well, everything comes from the rock tree. I was born in the 70s, and when I was 7 years old, 1977, Kiss pretty much took over my world as a little kid, and pretty much from then on, I knew what I was going to do with my life. I've always known. I never, other than just for a brief moment when I was maybe 12, I kind of got out of it just for a second, but I really never got out of it. I just found other interests briefly, but I've always, it's always been music. And, as I got older, it was like, the Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden. Then I went to the Slayers and the Metallicas, and then it went into more of the Creators and the underground, faster thrash, kind of that kind of stuff. And just kind of kept getting more brutal and more brutal. And then we kind of wanted to do something that was heavier and more brutal than what we were listening to. We always... we like it when bands don't change their sound and they get heavier and more brutal, and that's kind of one thing we've always tried to do, is just keep moving forward in that direction with what we're doing. Of course, we experiment a little bit here and there. We'll take a right turn here and there, but nothing too crazy, and it's always still within that death metal world. We try to, we understand how it is as a fan. We're fans ourselves, so we get it.
That is great. And it's great to hear when it's something like even Kiss. And I think sometimes in the metal community, right, people, they get mad when somebody's entry level into metal isn't the most brutal band of all time. And for me, it was Alice Cooper. I've seen Alice 35 times, super fan of them. And that's how I progressed into the more heavier and heavier and heavier things. So I always love when someone shares that, to say, get your entry band. It's going to lead you down that path eventually.
I think it just depends how old you are. You know, obviously the younger kid, they're going to hear Kiss and be like, "What? This is weak."
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
but when you're 7 years old and back in the '70s, Kiss was heavy. I mean,
Yeah.
or seeing the Gene Simmons breathe fire and spit blood. I mean, that was brutal.
Yeah.
And I was 7 years old. And obviously, you outgrow that stuff, and I still appreciate it. But I ended up moving on to other music and getting heavier into other stuff. And I listen to music so much, I wear it out. Like, I'll be honest, I can't listen to Slayer anymore. I've listened to it so much that I can't, I have to get something heavier or whatever. I just have, I listen to other stuff. I wear it out, I'll play a record till it's dead, and it's kind of a fault, you know what I mean? Because I do that, I'll get, I'll listen to a record and then I'll just wear it out, but, I still love Slayer and I still appreciate them, but I'm not gonna just go put on. I mean, every once in a while, you know what I mean. But
I got you
because I listen to music that much, to where I do it. It's like you can just burn out on certain things, like Metallica, Master of Puppets. I don't ever really need to hear that album again, just because I wore the shit out of it.
Yeah.
I know every little nuance and every little.
It's totally relatable. That's something that happened to me with like AC/DC. Like when I was a kid, I was listening to every AC. And now if I hear Back in Black, if I hear that riff, I got to change it. I mean, I can't. I just can't. I've heard it so many times.
Right.
And
it's even still good. And if you're
it's great.
If you're in a bar or if you're like at a doctor's office and it comes on, it's killer. It's better than whatever. But you get it.
Right. Can you hear me? I cut out for a second.
No, yeah, I got you.
Okay, good. No, and that's the thing about it too. When you're somewhere in the right place and you're sitting there, like, I remember being in Cape Cod and I was at this bar and Have a Drink on Me comes on, right? And you're like, this is perfect for that time and you're feeling it. But at the same time, I'm not going to go back and play the CD or the cassette. And I mean, I'm sure you remember wearing out cassettes, right? I did that with Death Symbolic. I remember wearing that cassette out that I played that. And I'll tell people that's my favorite Death album, but I don't listen to that album anymore. So and it doesn't, I love it. I think it's a perfect album.
Right. Yeah. And like, it's kind of like how when you buy, you'll buy a new album and your favorite song's the hit song or whatever, you'll buy the album for that song. And then, by the time it's over, you don't even like that song anymore. You like the B cut that you didn't even get into it when you first heard it, Now the B cuts, it's like, So Tired from Diary of a Madman, or it's like that's such a great song, but at the time when it first came out, I was into the Over the Mountains and the
right. Yeah.
So Tired. That's not is that Diary or is that Bark? Anyway, you get the idea.
I know what you're talking about, man. There's so much music, and like you're a super music fan. You listen to a million things. It all gets jumbled, and they do focus all on the hits all the time. And it's something where, and that's when I said you've been putting out music for such a long time. You took a little break between albums. What made you say now's the right time again?
It's finally finished. We never took a break. I mean, we're always working on something. Yeah. We just, kind of what happens, we put out an album and then we tour on the album for a period of time. So a number, 2 or 3 years, we'll end up, we're focused more on the touring. For the last album, when we did Passage, or for this album rather, I wrote 4 of the new songs during the mixing session for the last album.
Wow.
I was trying to get ahead so that it wouldn't take so long. But, life creeps up on you, and we started recording this album in 2023 at the beginning, but just because getting it all together and the switching the singers and different situations come up, and we've got to figure out the artwork now. We got to redo the record contract. It just takes time, but the whole time, I'm still working on stuff. I never stop working ever. I pretty much, I'm focused on something 360, something to do with music. It's either I'm playing drums, bass, guitar, I'm doing graphics, I'm working on a video stuff, I'm doing so I'm always kind of, my whole thing revolves around music,
That's awesome. That's awesome. And
the one thing I have been getting into lately, I've been trying to get my pilot's license. So I've been flying a plane lately.
Really?
Yeah. Last 6 or 7 years, I've been focused on that. I've got over 100 hours in at this point, and I can. I just need. I soloed last year, and I just need to pass my written test, and then do a couple more cross country flights, and then I can take the real test. But
yeah.
That's been some fun. That's like one of the few things that's not music related that I do.
Sure. I mean, and that's a cool thing for people to hear too. They assume like death metal, right? You're not going to be into anything like that. And it's like, here you are showing them, no, you could love this music. You could be extreme, and then you could still go after that other stuff that
right.
Very inspirational.
I wish I would have done it sooner.
Right.
That's my biggest regret is I didn't start until I'm kind of, I might even be too late now, but I'm not trying to become a commercial pilot or anything. I just want to be able to fly over to Miami. I want to be able to beeline over to Orlando. My dad's got a plane. My dad's got a plane, so might as well use it, while I can.
Yeah, why not, man? And it's just another thing to check off your list of accomplishments.
Yeah, it's just it's fun. It's cool. It's I like getting out there and exploring around and flying around over South Florida and west coast of Florida.
Yeah. So have you stayed in Florida the whole time? I mean, I know that's the big birth of all this music.
I grew up in Miami, and then when I was 11, we moved over to the West Coast, which is just south of Sarasota.
Okay.
And then I would say 21, pretty much when we did the first album, we came up to Tampa. We were coming up to Tampa a lot, and just basically decided since Morrisound was here and kind of the whole scene was kicking here, we just decided to move the band up. So I've been in Tampa. I've been in this particular house since '93.
Damn.
So, and this is the band house. This is where we practice. And, this is what we do. We're about 10 minutes from Tampa Airport.
Oh, that's sick. Easy to get right over there.
Yeah, we get over, fly right out. Yeah.
And I'm originally from Long Island, New York, so I grew up with the hardcore and Suffocation and all that kind of stuff. But I did live in Tampa, outside of Tampa, Spring Hill in the '90s. I also lived in Altamont Springs, so I used to go to Ace's Records. I don't know if you remember that record store.
Oh yeah.
Right, that was the go-to for everything extreme. For sure. Like, it was so sad when I heard it was gone.
Yeah. Frank passed away too. I didn't know if you knew that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the owner.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good while it lasted, for sure. Yeah, I remember when they were at the flea market. I don't know if you remember those days. They would just do it on the weekends.
Yep.
Out in Oldsmar. But we don't have anything really like that. There's Toy Mented. My buddy Josh, he's in Brandon, and he does a toy store kind of thing, but he sells a lot of metal there. And there's those kind of places still. Yeah, it's not like it used to be, that's for sure.
No, man, it's not. It's nice to see the vinyl came back, right? It's nice to see that at least some type of physical media, but like, people don't know those stores back in the day. Like, these stores had every metal release you could imagine, every import, and you'd go in there and you'd talk to everybody that worked there, everybody that you'd make friends immediately, just flipping through stuff, and it was it was a magical time.
The album cover, you don't even know what it sounds like, but I'm gonna buy the cover.
Yeah.
So.
It was that's how I got into death metal 1,000,000%. Was I just started looking, as I progressed into different music, and you're just like, wow, this is badass. Like, this is a really sick, cool cover. And you would just buy it, and that is a sad thing now that it's like those days are gone. But
that's how Bathory was for me. I remember I bought that when I was like, what year was that? 16 or something,
Yeah.
And listen to this, it's crazy,
Yeah. Hey. And there'll be somebody now that with your new album. The nice thing with the vinyl is there's still, the scene is there. It's not selling, of course, like at its peak back in the day, right? That's never going to come back. But there's going to be people that look at.
But in a way, it kind of does, though. I mean, if you look at Cannibal Corpse. I mean, they're playing these huge. They're doing huge numbers, and a lot of these death metal bands are doing better than we've ever done. So even though it's not as trendy, like when it first came out in the '90s, it was kind of like you had your normal getting mainstream sort of attention. You know, it's still the bands are bigger than they ever were. You know.
Yeah.
So getting bigger festival shows and things like that. I mean, Cannibal plays an arena when they play here now. You know, they play at the Sundome. You know,
that's crazy.
So.
I got to see them at Louder Than Life, and there was what, 70,000-80,000 people there, and that was just to hear that, and you know the speakers everywhere, and you just hear Cannibal Corpse grinding, and you're just like, it was a magical moment as a metalhead, and you know half the people there aren't there for that type of music, and it's like they have to hear it, and
they're getting exposed,
Yeah, and that's a good point, though. That is what is nice about the vinyl thing, and people love the vinyl, and they love the sound of vinyl. And I know the new album, I think there's some color variants coming out and everything.
Yeah, I actually listened to the vinyl last night for the first time. I threw mine on, put it on for, you know, and it's cool, you know. It's amazing, you know, that we can, all that work that we put into it, you know, now it's like a piece of, you know, it's just a piece of gold we can just throw on the, you know, and listen.
Yeah.
You know, and hear it on vinyl for the first time. It's, you know, it's still cool, even, you know, this far into our career, you know, that we get, you know, still get excited about things like that, you know, because I remember back in '87 just staring at the Testament Legacy vinyl, you know, and thinking, man, I want to do that, you know, I want to have a vinyl, you know, and just daydreaming about having my own vinyl, you know, and then, you know, fortunately we were able to do that, you know, and you know, even as a kid, just staring at the vinyl, like seeing how far the, you know, the grooves are in the vinyl, you know, and like, it's just cool to be able to do that now. And now they have, you know, now the big things, all these, you know, variants, the colors and the splattered this and this, that, and the other, you know, so that's cool. And, you know, we're just appreciative of Metal Blade for them being able to do all that kind of stuff, you know, that, you know, I do my own record label, and we could do a vinyl, but I don't think, you know, it would be tough for us to do 5 different variations and doing all this stuff, you know, so.
Yeah.
So we appreciate Metal Blade for that.
Yeah, and that's what, when I was talking to Brian, that's what I was like he's such a foundation to the scene, and that record label is, and they've always, what I loved about them is such a diverse catalog, right? It could be power metal, it could be death metal, it could be all different things, and just help keeping this scene alive over and over. And you know, Monstrosity, it needs to be on vinyl. Like, you need to be sitting in the room in the dark with the vinyl, with this thing as loud as it can go, right, man? And just soaking it in. And like I said, my first inspiration from the new music is going like, you still got that freshness and that intensity. And I've seen so many bands just kind of go by the numbers, you know, as the years go on, and go, this went that way, it could have went this way, and so whatever, and I'm like, no, this guy is still, you are 1,000,000% committed to this, and you believe in your product, and you're putting out as good as you've ever put out, man.
Right. Yeah, we're still inspired, and you know, like I was saying something yesterday about there's some of the newer, you know, not newer bands, but some of the older bands, so to speak, that they kind of get into this deadline thing where they force themselves to write something and stick to a deadline. And, you know, you can argue that the music suffers because of that, you know, it kind of, you end up coming up with filler material. And we've never really stuck with deadlines. I mean, it's kind of our, you know, it's kind of to our detriment probably, you know, that might be, you know, we might be bigger had we done that, but, you know, we want quality over quantity, you know, that's our thing, you know, and we want to make sure that we're 100% happy with the albums. We don't want to just we want to put out an album, you know, that's the Rain and Blood or the Master of Puppets, that's like, you know, from start to finish, that, you know, no excuses, you know, so we try to stick to that, you know, and not just rush to put something out.
Hey, and all us metal fans appreciate that. That's something that, you know, we really do. And you just, the worst thing you could have is when you buy that album and you could feel that there's nothing in it, right? And it is all filler, and you like maybe one song, and you're kind of pretending you like it because it's a band you've always stuck with, and you're arguing with your friends, and then you forget about the album in a week.
Right. You know, to me, like, there was a lot of trashing of the new Dark Angel, you know, and it's like, I didn't think it was that bad. I didn't, you know, like, everybody's trashing it, man. And it's like, man, So I kind of like, you never know really what the fans are going to think, like, so, we've had good luck in that, everybody seems to say that, oh, they never have a bad album in the catalog, and well, is there going to be one album where they decide that, this one sucks, or, you never know. So you're kind of always kind of like scratching your head whether, you're doing the right thing, all we can do is just do our best and I'm 100% committed, like you said, so I don't, as long as I put my all into it, I'm happy, and we're not changing. We're not doing anything radically different. There might be a few detours here and there, but it's just an experiment and we're back to the main road,
and I agree a million percent. And it screams from beneath the surface. It is, guys, it's magical. I know you're not into him as much anymore, but I got to scream a Slayer in front of you just because you're a guy I've looked up to my whole life, and it's something I like to do on here. So I just want to tell everybody that Monstrosity, they hit as hard as fucking Slayer! And it has been a pleasure and an honor, sir. And if you could let everybody know, when this is dropping, and we got variants of Metal Blade, where to find you. Go follow Monstrosity. Any of you younger kids that you don't understand, this has been the real deal since 19. I've been with these guys. Go follow the history. Go follow Lee's history. This guy perseveres over lineup. Nothing stops this man. And I really mean it's a pleasure. And so please let everyone know where to find your stuff. And I don't want to keep any longer.
Okay. March 13th, Screams from Beneath the Surface. Hopefully you'll dig a little bit below the surface on the album and really get into it, Metal Blade Records, there's www.monstrosity.us is our main website. You can go there and we got t-shirts, we got In Dark Purity CDs, Millennium CDs, all the other, of course, everybody's asking about Imperial Doom, and we do have a plan to get to that eventually. But for right now, we're focused on the new record and promoting that. We'll see everybody in Europe here in a couple weeks, a couple months, or month and a half, whatever we're at. And we look forward to seeing everybody and getting back on the road.
Sounds greatly. Thanks for stopping by, man. And again, you've been bringing it for decades, and I personally really appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you, dude.